Buenos días, bienvenidos todos. Good morning and welcome to Inspiration Sunday. Please join our special panel this morning with Rosie Lonnie Fiedelman, Justin Wing Tim Yu, Riza Hakatashi, Monica Ho, Raymond J. Lee, Joomin Hwang, and moderated by our own Luis Salgado and Francisca Muñoz, as they explore challenging ourselves to do more individually and collectively this morning on Inspiration Sunday. Now, please welcome your moderators, Luis Salgado and Francisca Muñoz.
Hola, hola, muy buenos días a todos. Welcome and thank you so much for tuning in. Francisca, ¿cómo estás el día de hoy, mi amor?
Buenos días.
How are you today, love? Can you hear me okay?
I can. Sorry, I had a little issue there, but I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I hear that you had a good evening yesterday.
I did. I did. My husband and I went out to dinner to City Island. You know, all the restaurants are starting to open up again in New York, which is great. So I had a nice dinner. I had a very big 2 glasses of sangria, which is bigger than my entire face. So I feel good.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so for everybody tuning in, Francisca is one of the recipients of the Revolución Latina Doreen Montalvo Awards, ladies and gentlemen, all honoring our dear beloved friend Doreen Montalvo. And today, this morning, I am just so happy. And I will say that I'm happy because I can use the word friendship. Because so many of the people that we're about to meet here are people that we coexist with and are people that I am proud of and are people that I get to learn from daily and do art with daily. And that is inspiring to me. And the world continues to sort of find ways of segregating and making divisions and all of a sudden, you know, taking away the things that we have in common. And so I want to welcome our panelists for today, please. Everybody that's joining us that has been so well presented by my friend Matt Steffens, please turn your cameras on. There we are. Phil, Phil, thank you so much. Great. So if you are one of our guests, wait for your cameras on while I introduce our panelists and we get started. Thank you so much. Great. So let me start here with I have Justin, Joomin. Where's my other friends? There you are. Raymond. There you are. Riza. Hola. Buenos días. And I think I'm missing Monica. There you are. And then we also have 2 of our directors from Revolución Latina, the one and only Heather Hogan. Please turn on your camera, Heather. And also we have Matthew Steffens, who created that wonderful opening video. Riza, we apologize to you on the recording there. So let me start with you, Riza. How are you this morning and how are you feeling on this wonderful Sunday morning?
Good. Sunday is good. I'm really excited for today because I'm getting my first shot of vaccine.
Yes!
Yay!
Such a saga. And I, as everybody did, like I was clicking hardcore and the fastest ones I could get was today. So I was just patiently waiting. So super excited for today.
Amazing. We have the one and only Raymond. Raymond, how are you this morning? And your question is, what is your favorite routine to start your Sunday mornings with?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm saying hi from Florida. I'm actually visiting my parents for the first time in over a year after testing, quarantine and vaccines. My morning ritual starts with a big cup of coffee because I have a 6.5-year-old. Maybe 2 cups.
Oh.
How is parenting going?
It's been a journey during the pandemic. I'm now I was a remote school teacher, but now my daughter is in school 4 days a week, which, thank you, Jesus. It's been amazing.
I'm sure
Thank you, Jesus, and thank you the teachers. And thank you the teachers who are also doing such hard work these days. I have also a 6.5-year-old wonderful child that I love, and I thank his teachers every day. And I also thank my wife, because my wife has become the best teacher ever. Justin, what is your Sunday morning routine?
I echo Ray. Lots of coffee and usually doing nothing, which is like my favorite. I think we're also busy. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. I actually did an overnight shoot, so I wrapped at 5:30 this morning. So I'm running on.
Wow, look at you! You're fresh as a lettuce.
We're here.
Yeah, Francisca, why don't you go ahead and select the next two humans that we're going to ask anything you want to start the morning.
Let's ask Monica.
Hi.
Hi, Monica. What is your Sunday ritual?
So my Sunday ritual usually involves getting up just a little bit later, around so it's 8 a.m. for me, and I tend to get up around like 9 on a Sunday morning.
Except that Revolución Latina called you early this morning.
Right.
Oh, it's fine. I'm happy to do it. And like Riza, I also have my first shot today, this afternoon. So I'm really excited about that. But that's not my morning routine. My routine is usually that I get up and I actually do have this ritual where I turn on my Nintendo Switch and I play Just Dance so that I can get my heart rate up. And then I follow that with some yoga. And I have my cup of sencha tea, and that's how I get my day started.
That's a fantastic routine.
It's a great way.
Yeah.
It's fun. Sometimes
Monica,
a little overstimulating, but fun.
Sorry, Francisca, for interrupting. I apologize. Mm-hmm. Monica, if you come to New York for our program next year, as we're dreaming of, I would love to have that morning routine be something we do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. Continue, Francisca.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Is it Joomin?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
So what is something that you like to do on a Sunday morning?
Sunday. I don't really have nothing.
You just like to relax.
Sunday, but yeah. But I like to walk my dog. I let her out every morning and just cuddle with her and change her pee pad and.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Shorkie Poo.
Ooh.
Oh.
She's adorable. I can't.
I know, I'm a dog mama too. They run my life.
Oh. I want to be sarcastic. I have to do this. Like, but those people, we're dealing with the issues in the world that, again, we keep looking at each other like we're so different. We're aliens. You're from Mexico. You're an alien. You're African American. Like, what? I don't know what that is. And see, like, we're getting to me, and we're not different. I need coffee. I need to wake up. I want to sleep on Sundays until 9 a.m. Where's the difference in there? We're humans. And that's part of the idea that we're sharing here today. So, Matt, you know what? Like I said earlier before we started this, I am honored to be like the host, but I'm not the host and Francisca's not the host. We're both tag teaming with our team of Revolución Latina. And so Matt and Heather Hogan, who are also here, are going to equally partake in our journey. So Matt, why don't you go ahead and ask the next question?
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many wonderful faces. I just first want to apologize. Riza's last name is Takahashi. That was my fault. I was mixing up letters, and I profusely apologize, Riza. So make sure she's an amazing, talented person and artist, and we are so happy to have you here. So I apologize for writing your name wrong there in the opening. Let's go to Justin. I would love to ask Justin the next question. Justin, I see some plants behind you. How does as we come into this world of growth, how does the growing of plants make you feel when you water them and see them grow? How does that make you feel?
I have to hold, Matt. It's 11:11.
Make a wish. We have to make a wish. Make a wish.
Everybody watching, make a wish. Boom. All right, continue. I apologize.
How does their growth of your enjoyment of plants behind you, contribute to your growth as a human?
I don't know. I'm inspired by nature. Like I think like this is like my favorite time of the year. So like where I live, there's all these planter boxes and the flowers bloom in the spring and the vibrancy of the colors. I think there's no, I don't remember what artist that said it, but like you basically can't find the same colors. Like no man can make the same colors that nature is making. So I don't know, I just love being surrounded by nature, and especially in a big urban environment, having plants around you is just like so important. I admittedly am a terrible plant dad. These are actually my roommate's plants, and I'm like trying to keep them alive while she's gone.
It looks like it's going well so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've managed to kill a snake plant, which I've heard is like really hard to do. But yeah, so like my room has no plants, but like the living room has plants. But yeah, no, I think it's it's about growth, and I love just the cycle of nature, and we get so much inspiration from nature. So yeah.
And where did Heather Hogan go? I introduced her and then she disappeared. There you are. Hi, Heather. If you could ask anybody a starting point question, just as we continue to warm up, who would it be and what would you ask?
I know this. So Raymond, this is a question I asked, my staple question, but I last night when I was working on this, I was like, I really want to know this from everybody. If you could see the color of your laughter when you laugh, what color would it be and why?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to sound so gay, but a nice rainbow vomit of laughter color is what I think it would be, because...
And what is the problem with that?
Exactly.
I think every laughter has different colors and textures, and it's like a Care Bear stare, but coming out of my mouth. So
I love it. I love it.
That.
You're the second person in my life that has answered with rainbow, and your reason why is a lot of the reason why that it was Ace Young. He was like, because he said no color should be left out of laughter.
I love that.
Ooh.
Ace Young, we send you a big hug, Ace Young. Thank you for your art, your artistry, you and your wife. Such an example. So Francisca, what should we do next?
I think let's open it up for discussion, no?
Great. So let's actually bring everybody watching home, todo el mundo mirando desde sus casas on our YouTube live in Rev Latina. We do have some live audience on our Zoom that are also going to be joining us from Colombia, United States. I don't know if there's from other places. We have a very tiny group that is going to also be listening and asking. So turn your cameras on. Salome Herrera, Lisa Burgos, Gabriela Garcia, Phil, Larry Cook from Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. And again, Heather Hogan keeps turning her camera off. I don't know why. Hola. Hi, Gabriela.
Hola.
One of our founder directors of R.Evolución Latina, Gabriela Garcia, with us today. Larry Cook, ¿cómo estás? Buenos días.
Buenos días.
How are you this morning?
I'm wonderful. It's beautiful and sunny here. I'm getting myself ready to come to Puerto Rico on Thursday.
Yes, Puerto Rico. Phil, ¿cómo estás esta mañana? How are you?
I'm doing good. I just had a sweet 16 from my niece last night till 4 a.m. and I'm still here.
Amazing. And Lisa Burgos, how are you? Are you there?
Lisa.
Was that her? Turn your camera on, Lisa.
Sorry,
I don't know.
bad internet, but I'm great. I'm here. Yeah.
There you are. Perfect. All right. So for everybody watching at home, this is everybody that's in the room of our Zoom space here today virtually. We have gotten really pretty accustomed to this Zoom reality, right? I guess let's ask that question. This is in general to all of our panelists. This year has been a very complex year for a lot of reasons. One, the pandemic. You know, our generation has lived a thing called pandemic, and we have had to change our existence ways for over a year right now. But also there's been a lot of social controversy, right? In general, in the entire world, in cultural representation, in politics and government, not only in the States, but especially in the States. We just had, right, a change of presidency. And there's, unfortunately, all of these hate crimes. What are some of the opportunities that lie ahead of us with the things we have had to do this year coming into this virtual work? Once again, what are some of the benefits? What are some of the elements that maybe benefit in the change we can make because of the way we're working now virtually, because of the way that we get to connect? Whoever wants to answer that.
And I'll go. I think this platform is a really wonderful tool for outreach because we can reach all across the world. And if we have the correct mission that we want to share, I mean, how wonderful is it to be able to reach so many different communities across all parts of the world. I think that's one of the strongest things we have going for us as creatives, to be able to add part of our culture to other cultures via this platform. I mean, look at what streamings are doing, like Netflix. I had not been exposed to so many different cultures via television series that now I'm exposed to, and I love it because I get to watch Rami and know what kind of world he lives in his Arab community, and I get to watch something about India, and I get to watch something about Mexico and Colombia, and then you are exposed to all of that. So I think that it's interesting because we have so much power to connect via this platform, which is the irony of why we are disconnecting racially. And it only makes us stronger. And so where is that disconnect? Why is there that disconnect? As you were saying, we are all the same. We're human beings that share so many common spaces. And so why are we disconnecting in such a way when all this virtual platform is allowing us to connect even deeper?
And from our panelists, thoughts you might have.
I want to say, I think this year and last year when we were right in the whole thick of the pandemic, I think a lot of us probably thought, oh, what now? What do I do now? I can't go to class anymore, or I can't see my friends anymore. And so that was really taken away from us. And we really found a way through this medium to connect and to still be able to do the things that we love, right? To still be able to take class, especially like with the classes that we do at R.Evolución Latina. I know that's changed my life completely in a super wonderful and fulfilling way. But also, I think it's also given us a chance. It should give us a chance to really think about, why there is this separation. Why, what Gabriela was saying before, why are we able to be so united, but we're still seeing these separations and this issue? How can we come together as a community and just start kind of, opening up the discussion and try and forge a path forward in a positive way so that we learn from this. This almost feels like this is a new world, right? We're given an opportunity. We've been given an opportunity to deal with what's happening, and now we're given a chance to make it right, to make it better. So by using this medium, we should, as people, try and really make that path ahead to be like, okay, we're not going to do what we used to do in the past. We're going to change because we should be changed from everything that we've experienced. We should be changed. So how do we continue to make that path forward so that we can all move together in a more positive way? I think that's one of the things that this is definitely taught us in this
Riza,
whole year.
what do you think?
I think it's great that, it's not great the pandemic happened, but things like this used to happen in person, and these discussion, and people who choose to go went, and that was the normal. And I think that was great. But now that it is in Zoom, YouTube Live, everywhere, it gives me the opportunity to pop in everywhere to listen and learn a lot more. And learned so much about what I didn't know about our community and different community, Black, Latino, and I think it broadened my perspective so much. And I never thought that I get to speak up like in a place like this. So I think it's great to be able to do that, reach out, and also to learn.
Yeah, it's giving you, I feel like it's like giving you a chance to have a voice where before you may not have felt, not that you couldn't have, because you're so capable. We're all capable of having that voice, but I think it's given you much more of that confidence to say, okay, I can be here, I can be present, and this is what I'm contributing to what's going
also
on.
too, I feel like because we've all had to be at home, and because we're all artists, and I feel like as artists we're always go go go, next gig, go, and to actually sit in our space, think about what we've been through, and be like, wait, that thing I experienced was really messed up, and I've never processed that or had time to think about it, but that shouldn't happen again. And I feel like all of our communities were kind of in their own lanes because we just didn't have the time. But look what happens now, because we are at home and we do have the time, and we're
more time to think.
Yeah, thinking, and we're communicating, realizing we all have the same obstacles, and there's such power in coming together. And I don't think this would have happened if we were still going that same course. So in a weird way, it is, as messed up as it is, it's a blessing that we can communicate like this now.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that there's a lot of blessings to be found in the challenges of this year. Joomin, your point of view.
I'm with Riza, because I didn't really know what's going on with all the, I think this pandemic and what we have heard through all the medias, like social medias, really taught me the deeper meaning, or like what we are facing, so I learned so much, and I was like, wow, this really happening right now in 2020, and then I'm so glad people are really connected together and fight together now. I think it also makes it easier to people to participate, I feel like. So I think that's amazing things. And we're doing like this right now. It's also so awesome to have, and spread even more awareness to people.
So I'm gonna focus on Justin for a second now, since you haven't talked on this topic yet. Justin, you I met you also through the Doreen Montalvo scholarship as an applicant, and I just madly fell in love with you, like in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I fell in love with you because of your social stance, because of the way and how easy you can articulate your thoughts on our society, the role of arts, the role of acceptance and embracement in more than one idea of that thinking. Please introduce what's going on in the world with the AAPI community for those who have missed out on having a summary. Feel free to answer the question of the pandemic as well. But as you're doing this, lead us into the more serious issue that we are here to address today.
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand, right? I think there's the blessings of time, right, for everyone to sit and think, and basically everyone, right, is sort of faced with, whether they know it or not, like an existential crisis, right? Because wearing a mask, right, is an act of love, and who would have thought, right, that like something as simple is something that's like so important. So like everyone's had to face that, which is great, and I think that's a great common ground. I will say that the exposure piece is also like really important, to Gabriella's point. And I actually think, what it exposes is that all these problems were here, right? These problems aren't new. They're just coming to light. And I think that's, sparked by, to me, it really sparked with George Floyd, right? And that was sort of the national awakening in such a big way. But that is really starting to, peel back. It's pulling the thread on the sweater and unraveling the sweater of everything that is wrong, right? Because to Ray's point, like we're always going, and there's so many band-aids that are being put on things, and now we're having to like experience life and figure out how to deal with these big social issues, you know, without all of that, right? And you have no choice but to pay attention and to be at home, right? And I think it's a weird thing to say, but it is the blessing of the pandemic that, you know, these issues are coming to light, because there's no other circumstance that I can think of. And, you know, I've talked to my parents about it, like they've never lived through anything like this, where, you know, everyone is all of a sudden paying attention, right? And our hands are glued to our phones, our computers. You don't have an excuse to check out, right? Or if you do, you live such a privileged existence, right? To be in that bubble, to not be paying attention to everything that's happening.
I just quickly want to jump in. I also was reminded all of a sudden that Rosie Fiddleman is not with us today. So for our audience, unfortunately, she couldn't make the virtual time because of work this morning. So we send Rosie our love, number one. Number two, you mentioned George Floyd, and it took me back to sitting on my bed, and just witnessing early in the video coming out what was going on, and feeling repelled, and not being able to control myself, and going out in social media and posting how devastated I was at that moment, and that in the middle of everything that was going on with the world, we were multiplying the shit that we have had in our history. We are putting our knees on someone and not having any mercy, any humanity, any control of our acts. And then that was coming also connected to a political sort of, you know, I don't want to curse, but a political debacle in our society where we're in general everything was going like this, and meanwhile people are like bravo Trump, like a lot of people supporting this idea, including family members. And why is this? Why are we in the middle of this chaos? And what do we think has created so much hate?
I mean, you throw around the word humanity, right? And I think I don't think people have spent enough time thinking of their relationship to the word humanity and where they fit in it, right? And which to me ends up being very simple. So like my artistry and everything that I'm fighting for deals with this question of humanity and the type of humanity that I'm envisioning and the world that I want to see, right? And I think, unfortunately, right, there is a large subset of the population, and I'm hoping this isn't true, like that they aren't too far gone, right? But that just believes in a humanity that looks different, right? Or they can't see, they're so entrenched, they have such internalized capitalism, internalized white supremacy, and I'm not even just talking like just white people, right? It's just all these systems are built to support a status quo that has been here for so long. And if you don't kind of peel back the curtain to look at what that actually means, right, and what it's doing to your fellow man, right? I mean, it's even like simple things about like school, right? Like school hours, the foundation of school was to create more factory workers, right? But why are we, you know, no one questions the purpose of school, right? There's a really good talk on that. Why are we doing, no one's asking enough why, right? Why are we doing all these things? And I think, I mean, everything boils down to humanity and that existential question, right? What is our purpose here? What are we trying to do? And is it worth it? And if we aren't asking those questions, right? And we're just blinded by, you know, I need to make money for rent. I need to, you know, and I think America has just like blown up that question or that problem.
Yeah.
Like we're working a job to pay for a house, but like it needs to be bigger and better, and but like who is that serving, right? And that question, you know, is sort of being tossed around in the theater community right now, right? About what is the purpose of the theater, and I think it was Brandon from Broadway for Racial Justice who kind of published this sort of, very poignant and pointed video that's asking for, like white chorus members not to return to Broadway, right? If you are a true ally, or if you are going to return to Broadway, name it for what it is, right? That it is a racist act, right? Because knowing what you know about the system and your privilege and how, in order to be a true ally, you do have to yield space. How can you go ahead and put your own, self-interest before that? Right?
Can you show us your beautiful shirt?
Yes.
I'll spotlight you again. Wait, there you are.
Woo.
Work. If you notice internally here that we're spotlighting, is ideally we're trying to get the YouTube live to have camera angles changes, so don't be distracted by that. Here's the thing that speaks to me, and I'm gonna pass it to Francisca right away. We had our Instagram live with Joomin and Raymond, and we were talking briefly about what we have in common. And one thing that really touched me a lot is that when I was in Puerto Rico, which was all my early life, right? I moved to New York when I was 21. I was never a stranger. I was just a Puerto Rican. And whether you were a black Puerto Rican, or whether you were a white Puerto Rican, or a brown Puerto Rican, or a Taino looking like Puerto Rican, you were just Puerto Rican. And there's something so beautiful in that. But when I moved to New York, I was different. I spoke different. I sound different. Probably I smell different. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that I was treated different. And with that, Francisca, take it away.
Thank you. Yes. So this is a question for me that it has been going around in my mind for a very long time. And then specifically when Luis asked me to jump on this, I was very honored to be here with all of you today. So for me, I know I was born in Chile. I grew up in Australia. And growing up in Australia, I didn't really, I never felt different. Australia is a very, very multicultural country. And where in the area that I grew up in, I always felt very accepted. I was always surrounded, even in my school, all of my friends were either Filipino, or they were Greek, Italian, Arabic, all from different cultures, right? And then I moved to Miami. And again, I was embraced. I felt like that same feeling that Luis feels in Puerto Rico. I moved to Houston, Texas for about a year. And it was the first time of being in this country for now 9 years that I felt discriminated against, that I felt like I didn't belong here. And that hurt. Like I even get just choked up speaking about it. It hurt because I didn't understand. I didn't understand why they were looking at me as a minority. So my question is for all of you, especially, and I'm very interested in those of you that didn't grow up here in the US, that grew up somewhere else, that moved to the US. When did you feel when did you feel that you were different, that they looked at you as different, right? And how did that make you feel at that point in time? And how did you go about addressing it? How did you go about addressing it if you experienced that?
I can talk first. So I'm originally from Japan and moved here when I was 16. And I actually first moved to Canada for high school and then moved to United States for college and then moved to New York. So kind of all over the place, but I moved to North America when I was 16. And I was talking to my boyfriend last night about how I was just, in a bad word, ignorant about the race issues that this country have, because I was the privileged one in Japan. And we've touched on this before in our different meeting, but Japan is a homogenous country. Everybody looks the same. And there are few minorities that are white, black. Anybody who's not from Japan looks different. And I wasn't the minority, I was the majority. So I was just living as Riza Takahashi. And when I moved here, I think I was just not aware of what was happening and all the microaggressions I was getting. And every time I go home and they're like, were you discriminated against? And I didn't feel it for a really long time. But I think when I first started doing shows, honestly, till I was on Broadway, I almost didn't realize how important it was to represent our race. And until people came up to me and said, thank you for representing, thank you for being the only Asian female ensemble on Broadway. And that's when I started to really focus on like what was happening around me. And the small like microaggression that I realized that I didn't realize was coming up. And I want to ask too, but I'm not sure if it was better to not realize or if it's better now that I realized. Because I think it's a fine line. It's like, oh, if I don't
Yeah.
end it, that's like better. Or like,
You know, I'll interject you. I think it's good. I mean, everyone, and please, I'll open it up again to everyone, but I think it's good that you realize. I think that makes you grow as an individual and also an artist. And the fact that you bring this beautiful perspective to Broadway and to your performing is, you know, just that in itself is really making a statement of, you know, we are all, it's still like, for me, it blows my mind. It's like, we're all people. We're all God's children. We can all, you know, do the things that we want to do. We can all be on Broadway. Why is there this division of you have to look this certain way or you don't look like this? I think it's made you, for me, I feel like it has opened you up to more opportunities. Now your eyes are more open to what's really out there. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you can only grow from that. But I definitely did feel that. I felt like maybe I felt probably like you, like maybe I was a little bit ignorant in Australia. Maybe I didn't realize that this was happening. I'm still very shocked by the things I see on TV here, and I've been here 9 years.
I also, if I may, I apologize for interrupting. Because you're talking about Broadway, and we have Larry Cook here who represents Broadway Cares, and is actually our parent organization for R.Evolución Latina. We've been supported by them for 14 years. I'm thrilled of being part of, you know, again, we serve many communities, right? Mm-hmm. We serve the Latino community because Gabriela Garcia, Michael Madrama, and myself are Latinos. So we don't know other culture. We know to work from where we are. That doesn't mean that we neglect other cultures, right? That means that we operate from the culture that we know, and that we take care of that culture first. But again, here we are having this conversation. So clearly, we're not making divisions. Then we serve the artistic community because we are also, the three of us had in common, we're artists, right? And so in that, a big ratio of humans fall on that. And then we serve the human community because ultimately what we want is to utilize art to make better contributions to humanity. And so in that, we're always working for each other. And Broadway Cares has done exactly that for so many years. So then there's one more community that we serve, Broadway, right? Because we're operating from this central place that inspires the rest of the world, because people from all over, and especially in the Latin America culture, which is again my experience, look up to Broadway. However, Broadway is not the center of the earth. And the artistic contributions that we can make do not rely on Broadway only. For me to celebrate, inspired, and embrace the unity of the AAPI community and the Latina community coming together, I don't need a Broadway show. I could do that in Japan, in Korea, in the Philippines, in Puerto Rico, in Chile, in Guatemala, and Argentina. And I can do that with any culture. And so I just wanted to bring forward that idea as well, that although we are privileged because we have the blessing of having been on Broadway and having that branding with our work is louder by its work itself, by the art, by the humanity, by the culture that we contribute through our work. And I just wanted to put that out there as we continue to talk about Broadway. And if I may, I'm going to steal a minute so that Larry can maybe add a couple of pointers on this topic, since I just highlighted him.
Hello, everybody. This has just been such an incredible year, really, for Broadway Cares. And I've just got thousands of examples of people stepping up to the plate and really giving a tremendous amount of time, volunteer time, money. I mean, we have snapped into a different fundraising strategy really since the theaters have closed, that we have to pretty much rely on new strategies on the internet and traditional development strategies. But in our hearts, we all really miss the grassroots, standing in the lobbies, working with the stage managers, counting dollar bills. I mean, it just made the whole thing so much more collective. And it wasn't just the people that could afford to helping. It was really everybody pitching in. And so we've been able to do more grant making than we've done in the past. And an incredible amount of the Actors Fund, who has also stepped in to really help. But it's just story after story after story of people being, dislocated and having emotional problems and financial problems. I mean, it's kind of an overwhelming situation. And I have to take my hat off to Tom Viola, who takes effort to respond to any inquiry that he gets, any crazy suggestion that he gets. He really reaches out with heart and soul and responds. But I was just going to say also, I think I'm the only boomer in the group. I've been through a lot of different crises in American history in my life, and we bounce back. And I think the other thing that if you look at history, quite often after periods of disruption and conflict, there's a renaissance. And I think we are headed for a renaissance. I really do. I think there's so much pent up creative energy that's about to explode that it's going to be a very exciting time for the arts. So I'm optimistic. I'm vaccinated. I'm coming to Puerto Rico. So I'm in a good place.
Nice. Well, thank you for that and for being with us and for being with us for 14 years as well.
Right. So your energy is what drives it, you guys. You are just amazing.
Thank you.
And whenever I get a chance to come and witness the camp, it blows me away. It's just so well done, and it's just so exciting and so heartwarming. So
thank you. So
bring a lot to us.
Getting back on the action plan. So team, I need help here. What are some of the things that we can do today? Raymond, Joomin, Monica, Riza, Justin, to solidify the fact that we're not different, the bridges among us, to make social impact, to delude the hatred that is being exposed in the United States of America. I thought this was the land of the free, and I think that it is, but it doesn't sound as hopeful these days. From your point of view, what are some of the things we can be doing to make change? What are some of the things we need to understand in order to hold hands stronger and walk the path of the things we love, of the country we want to see?
I mean, I think we have to be careful with the terminology, right? Is understanding, first of all, that we are different, but we are the same, right? And there's subtleties and nuances in how we use that terminology, I think, right? Because I think we have to understand that our walks and our journey in this country take different paths, right? And everyone has some sort of relationship, especially as like a minority within the US, right? But not worldwide. But every grouping or intersection of your identity has its own journey and in the grander scheme of things, right? And I think we have to name that and recognize that, and then look for the commonalities for like the humanity piece of it. And I think that's, I think that's one of the important reasons, like for today, right? Because like specifically, right, like the Asian journey or the Asian API journey is so under talked about. It's so misunderstood, because that journey is very different, relative to the scale of like what's happening in the Black and Latino communities, right? Ours is death by 1,000 paper cuts, not by gunshot. right? And I think that's the, you know, the scale is very different, but we have to be able to hold space for both of those things and to be able to talk about both of those things, and feel, you know, lean into the discomfort, right? I think that one of the best things that we as, one of the things that makes us the same is that anybody who is othered, right, that is a degree away from the white heteronormative construct that we live in, we all understand what it feels like to be uncomfortable, right? We've all experienced that othering. And it's understanding that we can lean into the discomfort, and we know how to manage and live in discomfort, to have these difficult conversations and to be able to like learn, right? And to try to learn, because that isn't necessarily happening, you know, with the majority in this country.
Monica,
So
Joomin.
Justin, oh, go ahead, Liz.
Sorry, Monica, Joomin, on that same question, your thoughts?
I mean, like, a lot of people have this like awareness, and then they donate money to this organization, and I think that's amazing. But I think more, I guess for me, what's more important is when those things, like when the racism moment happen, right? How can we deal with it? Like, I think that's a question I'm asking. Like, what should I do? You know, should I speak up? Like how? Like in what way? Like I don't know how to do that. Like I mean, like for example, I was walking in Midtown in New York, and this guy just like yelled at me, "You're the reason why the city is dead," and I was like, I was really, you know, my blood was boiling, but like, I said, no, I'm not. I said that, but I didn't know what to do. Like, should I fight back? Like, what should I do? So I feel like donation awareness is very important, and a lot of people are doing, but also important thing is, I feel like the education of like how you deal with it in your life, like when those things happen, that would be really, really helpful for me. And then for like future, because I don't know how to do it. Like so.
I want to take a second and to apologize for whoever said that to you. seriously, because it sucks. You know, it's just not right. It's not right. We're all walking together. We're all struggling. We're all living the pandemic the same way. If anything, the pandemic is teaching us is that, I mean, the best way I have always said is we all poop. We all poop. No matter who you are, you're the president of the United States, you're the king of England, you poop. You're the same human being with the same necessities. You get hungry, you know, and I don't understand why, and I do understand that, again, I will point a finger and say we had a leader that was so poor in his ground, so poor in his basic, that he could never say there's a pandemic. He called it a particular sentence that perhaps exploded the possibilities of hatred in this country, and that is bizarre to me. And on as a Puerto Rican, as a human being, as an artist, as a Latino, I'm sorry that you went through that, Joomin. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I think I don't know. Back then, I'm from South Korea, born and raised until 28 years old, and so I came to the U.S. very late. And my first racism moment was like the most famous sentence: "Go back to your country." I was in school in Wisconsin. These 4 white guys are driving this car when I was on the way back from grocery, and I was holding these 2 big old bags, and then these guys just stopped like second and so yelled at me that like, "Go back to your country," and just left. And I felt so powerless, and then that was my first time I experienced it, and then I never felt so powerless. And then because they're just left, they're driving car, I cannot just follow them, just there's nothing I can do, right? And then later on, I mean, before pandemic, in my head, I was like, I cannot do anything. So just, I should just, this is how it is. It's how the world is. I kind of accepted, I think, this is what it is, rather than really fight back when that happened. But now everything's changing. People are fighting back. So I think that's so awesome that we are allies. I feel like being like the awareness that we have, all the people right now, and then like when things are happening, like I saw some people like speak up for others, like, hey, that's not right, you know, like just being able to speak up for people that having that situation. I think that's really, really helpful for any community, like not even AAPI, like, you know, all the communities. Like, I think, and now people have that because there are so much awareness. They have, like, people have power to, like, I think, like, I would say it's not easier, but like, you know, like they're like, oh, all the people knows, so I can say things right now to, like, you know, because like back then I felt like I cannot say things because I thought that's what it is, that the word is, but now I feel different. So I think that's something I felt different before pandemic, after pandemic, and all the things happened, like everything right now. Yeah.
I used to get that all the time too, Joomin. And I remember they would go back to your country and they'd be like, we were here first. And they keep walking. I was like, we crossed the land bridge. Y'all took a boat.
Monica, you're in LA. What's your answer on this from that side of our country?
Right. I'm actually in the San Francisco Bay Area, but it's, you know, the same coast.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and just to echo the sentiment of I think, you know, having all these other people who are aware of having allies and having the ability to have other people in the community like encourage us to speak up and to say something and to defend ourselves. That's something that I'm learning still how to do. I'm a newbie, you know, I haven't even gotten my shot to like really break into this industry because I was still in school last year. I was in my MFA program. We graduated into this pandemic and trying to launch my acting career, and that has been really difficult, but I've had a lot of time. Oh, yes.
For the people that don't know, Monica is our other recipient of the Doreen Montalvo Award. So Francisca and Monica, let's all give a round of applause for Francisca and Monica, who are our first ever recipients of the Doreen Montalvo Award, a scholarship that we're aiming to provide for 10 years, thanks to the support of Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, and obviously to the community of family that we have from In the Heights and On Your Feet that loves the contribution to our lives that Doreen Montalvo did. So another reminder of that. I'm sorry for the interruption, but it was important.
No worries. Yeah, thank you, Louise. What I was just going to say is that in you know, my year of 2020, that I've had time to just reflect on my own life and how I plug into the rest of the world. I feel like I grew up here. I grew up in the Bay Area in a place that is predominantly Asian American. And I feel like my life has just gone from bubble to bubble, essentially. And the bubble that I found myself in before this pandemic started happened to be one where I was such a minority that I didn't have really a sense of community. I didn't have anyone else who wasn't, you know, in my MFA class, I was the only one who wasn't Black or white. And I've realized through just all the time I've had to reflect last year that there are many ways in which I feel invisible, and I'm still discovering ways to become visible even to myself. And so I'm floored when people have been reaching out to me after the Atlanta shooting, just to like ask if I'm okay. I appreciate all of the moments that I feel seen, because it helps me recognize that for myself. I think being East Asian and being raised in an Eastern household, but in a Western society, that there are ways in which I just, there's just like social conditioning of like being quiet and being obedient that are really, really hard to undo. And it's hard to feel like as a minority that we have to be louder in the room to be heard, when my own social conditioning says like, you should not be loud in this room, you should keep quiet. So that's something that I'm still processing, and I really appreciate having the ability to share my voice with you all today, because I'm still figuring it out. But it's awesome to be in community with the Latino community, with Asian Americans, and just figuring out how to navigate my like post-grad school world. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks, Monica. Actually, there's a question from YouTube for the panel. And actually, Riza and Raymond, if maybe you want to take it first. The question is, how can we be better allies for the AAPI community during this time? So if either Riza or Raymond want to take it first, and then the rest of our panel can open up.
I mean, so many people have stepped up. It's just like listening to our stories, validating our stories, realizing these stories exist. Because for so long, and I'm sure my Asian brothers and sisters feel this too, is we would try and share our stories, and they were told that they weren't as important, they weren't as severe. So there was like this level of like, yeah, but you didn't really experience that I personally witnessed, even when I was telling my stories. So that made me want to shut up about them. And now more people are actually listening, being like, oh, you actually went through that? I'm like, yes, I've been trying to say that for years now. You're finally listening. So listen, know that they exist. Just learning what could be racist trigger words for us, like when we get the term like, where are you from? Where are you really from? Like stuff like that like, I'm like, oh, it gets me so angry. Just being aware of it and putting that antenna up, I think would be the start of being a better ally. But Riza,
so I just wanted to raise awareness that next month in May is AAPI Heritage Month. And I am actually producing a photo shoot with Broadway Cares to celebrate the Asians on Broadway. And
with who?
With Broadway Cares. Thank you, Larry. Valerie of Broadway Cares has been talking with me, and we're doing the photo shoot soon. And Joomin's going to be a part of it too. And it's going to be a beautiful collection of AAPI community in the Broadway. And what I wanted to share is that I just want everybody to celebrate like Asian joy. We are just who we are, and that's just beautiful as is. So right now I think it's just important just to be aware, like we are just people, and it's nothing more or less. And I'm really excited to share. So it's not to like advertise, but when that photo shoot comes out, just repost,
Please do. This is the best platform to do that. And I have to say again, I love Justin's shirt. Can you just like show us, like make it really so we can all see? I mean, it's just so beautiful.
From East West Players, the longest running theater of color in the US. I was lucky enough to do a production of Next to Normal with them, but this is one of their fundraising shirts. It's available on their website, eastwestplayers.org. They're a wonderful organization, and have been supporting AAPI artists forever. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love it. It's beautiful, and
Francisca,
everything that you're doing.
I'm so
Marinita, do you
sorry.
have a question?
Marinita Solemes had a question, and we have some more questions
We-
from YouTube.
mhm.
No, it was an answer because Salo wants to talk a little bit about the last question. So, go.
Pues es que yo pienso que un bailarín, o sea, un artista se tiene que como que enfocar en lo que le gusta, como en el baile o en la actuación, y no enfocarse como en de dónde vienen o el color o la raza. Sí.
Yeah.
Sí. Gracias, Salome. I think what she's saying. Do we want to translate or?
Yeah, so she's basically saying that art is art, and that when we
Yeah.
focus in the art is basically, I'm summarizing in my own words a little, but we basically focus on humanity, and so we're not so focused in the color of our skins or their coat. Like we're like, that's one of the things about art, that we all come to it, right? And we share our hearts on our truth through the art, and so I think that's a little bit where she's aiming at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, and that's our young generation, so we could learn from them.
Heather.
I just wanted to jump in really quick because like everything that everybody's saying and the fact that like we got to see Justin's shirt and all of that. I wanted to say that one of the things that Justin said in our last meeting that we got the honor to be together is that your existence is your activism. And everybody, you know, I know that meant a lot to everybody. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then I think that Salome and what she just said is that like, you're an artist and that's your activism. And like, I think the fact that we're here in this room and we're aware that something is not right, it is something. And we need to hold on to this feeling and not just go about our day. And like me as, you know, a white person, go about our day and ignore that. We have to be aware. We have to exist. We have to be in the here and the now. And what that means, even on the streets, you can't just turn a blind eye, you know? And sometimes things are scary, but you know, you gotta dare to go beyond.
Dare to go beyond.
Dare to go beyond.
I think I this always happens, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that, you know, I think Raymond said it. We need to have more of these conversations, right? And so we are at that moment where we want to shift into questions from our panel here and everybody watching on YouTube. If you have questions, write them down on the chat and they will be sent to us. So we're going to spend the next 10 minutes taking your questions. Let's kind of do fire rapid if we can, right? Like the more questions, the better. The more answers we can get, the better. So Francisca, can you guide us through the second question?
Sure. So there's a question here from YouTube. It says, I would love thoughts on the balance between reaching out to my friends in the AAPI community to offer support versus giving them the time and space for mental health so that they aren't having to respond 24/7.
I think my friend actually texted me when, you know, hate crime happens in New York City. That was really, I felt, for me, I felt safe that my friends are supporting me. So I think that's good. So I think just let them know we are there. We're there for you, and then give them time and space. I think that's a good way to support them.
I think that we're so used to being invisible and so used to having the experiences like gaslit that like any showing of support, like the bar is very low on like giving us support. And I think that's what was so touching about you know, immediately after the Atlanta shootings and everything that's coming out of that. It's like people are coming out of the woodwork to reach out, and I almost notice more the people that don't do that, right, or the people that are remaining silent, right, because that silence is complicity. So I think any sort of support, if it's genuine, right, is important because we're just so not used to having that. And then I think there's also, you know, the balance of everyone wants to like teach and more than willing to talk, right? Everyone wants to talk about themselves, but I think it's, that is a timing thing, right? Because I think there are so many resources out there, and I think, Heather is going to post it on the website as well, but like there's so many resources out there that you can help start your education, right? So that, and this goes the same for like the Black community, for the Latino community, like you're not trying to like have them relive their trauma and trying to help educate you, right? On things that you can sort of learn on your own, right? And this goes back to the beginning of like, there's so many resources at your disposal now to be researching and to be understanding and asking why, right? And I think to me that is like, if someone reaches out with genuine questions to further the conversation, right? That's always welcome. But it's like, I don't want to go through like racism 101, when we're trying to grieve and process.
That's important. I think, we're really past the point now where we don't have all of these resources that aren't available. Like everything is out there. It's all public domain. I think that's important that we educate ourselves and so that we can continue to be allies for the AAPI community, not just now, but moving forward.
I think Matt has a question, and from there, again, Lisa, Phil, Hector Pereira. Hola, Hector. Larry, and everybody here, you're welcome to ask the questions that are brewing in your spirit. So, Matt.
I would love to ask our panel, I know many of you have been in rooms where you might have been the only member of the AAPI community, and many of you have been in casts where like the majority of the cast has been from the AAPI community. I'd love to know, like, what's the difference in creating art for you in those two situations?
There's a camaraderie, like having done Soft Power, where it was like all Asian cast members except for two white female cast members, was so powerful. We all looked at each other, I think on day one, and we're like, we actually get to be in a room together. We're not just in the audition room and then making plans to go to Banchan after the audition. Like we're actually going to be able to work together, and it's going to be for more than a week because, we do Asian readings. So there was this like camaraderie, this excitement, this like, we get each other, we understand each other, we know where we've been, what we've been through. We don't have to translate that to non-Asian people that don't get what our background is versus other shows that I've done when I'm the only Asian person. It's almost like I try to fit in, like I'm trying to gauge the rules of like, what can I say? What are the lunch rules? Is everyone going to break off? Like, how vocal can I be? So there's more of me censoring myself or keeping myself down here. But when it's an Asian company, I feel like we all just kiki right away. We're just so excited to see each other and work with each other because those moments are rare.
Raymond, from Puerto Rico, I'm getting messages of saying people love you.
Oh,
like, oh my God, he's so charming. I love him. So just so you know that I'm getting.
I love Puerto Rico. I love it so much. I want to go back for a longer trip.
Well, I talked to Jerry Mitchell not too long ago because I went to Puerto Rico for like 10 months. And so Larry, since you're here, I'm going to, I wonder what a Latino AAPI community balance of Broadway Bears in Puerto Rico might look like. I'm just putting it out there. It could be a really interesting event that will, continue to embrace our cultures and fundraise for such a great organization. What do you think?
I'm always for promoting diversity. So, I've had two partners in my life since I came out. One was Malaysian and the current one is Jamaican. So I'm getting plenty of exposure to both sorts of cultures, and it's enriched my life so much. That's what people have to realize is there's just so much to be gained by diversity. And we are in a bubble here in New York City. We just are used to being around people from all different cultures and people really getting along. And we lose track of how unique that is in this country, sorry to say.
Then my follow-up question would be, Raymond, since you already have so many fans in the island, would you be the full out strip?
Due to COVID, I might need like some man spanks or maybe like a full like whole 60 diet, but I'd be down for it.
All right, audience, please let us know, Lisa, again, Hector, Larry, Phil, Salomon.
I'd like to
Gaby,
contribute
of course, my
something.
love.
Hi. So, as an immigrant myself, as a Mexican American, I've kind of had the same journey as Francisca a little bit. Born and raised in Mexico, but then had the opportunity to study in Los Angeles. I went to high school in LA, and then I ventured out on my own to dance. I came from the classical ballet world. And one of the most wonderful experiences I had while traveling was because destiny and my journey took me to Europe. And as I was there, Europe is compiled by so many countries that it was wonderful to be in a theater where we had ensemble members from Turkey and Spain and England and Germany and Austria. And that was such an enriching community. And it was just magical to be able to work with so many people and learn from each other. And then when I came to New York, like some of you, for the first time, I was awarded a seal that said Latina. And as you see me, I mean, this is not the usual Latina that you would cast because they're thinking Caribbean. So no, I'm not going to be, the brown person that they look for when they want the maid, or I didn't fit in the mold. So I also had to deal with that more in the TV and film industry than in theater. Theater, funny enough, I've never done a Latin show. They've all been, I did Chicago, Carousel, Roman Holiday, because I kind of look Italian, and never been cast in like an In the Heights or an On Your Feet. Again, I don't know, maybe I'm not Latina enough. But all to say that as immigrants, we already have something much more than anybody else, because we're growing with different cultures. Whether you grew up in the US, but as one of you mentioned, Eastern culture, but in a Western world. I mean, how amazing is that? We have so much more knowledge than those that out of ignorance criticize us because they've never even left the country. And so own that power, own that voice, because that only makes you stronger and more valuable. And to Francisca's point too, or lead by example, be successful in everything you do. Be your best representation of yourself. And that on its own is going to diminish all the ignorant chat and blurbs and things that are out there, because I don't think they're going away anytime soon. But it's up to us to say, no, this is who I am. This is the best that I am. This is how I succeed. And really, like the shirt says, be proud of that person that you are, because you encompass so much. You know so much more already just by having grown up in different cultures. So I just wanted to put that out there, because I think that confidence is one of the most valuable things we have as immigrants. And also, I mean, come on, what our contributions are to this country and this beautiful melting pot that is what it should be. Just continuing to add on those different spices to make it more interesting, to make it more diverse, to make it more of a community. But yeah, don't shy down. In working with some productions that have Latin theme, where producers and directors are white, I always, even if I'm in like associate choreographer position, I do find if the opportunity is right to just say, may I say something? No, that wouldn't be done. Find a way to educate them, because a lot of times they won't. And those who want to be educated will stop and learn and listen, and then adjust the things that need to be adjusted in the storyline, because this is why we're hired, because we can afford something that somebody else doesn't. So be brave to state your point of view, and and it's educating ourselves.
Thank you, Gaby. Thank you for your words. Again,
Thank you. Beautiful
it's
words.
interesting. I keep getting this direct messages, and so I love it, because I know there's the YouTube and then there's the Zoom, but then I also get direct messages from people, and they're saying, "Wow, bravo, Gabriela Garcia, bravo!" Just so you know, thank you for your contribution there. And yeah, I'm also getting a message about to hear stories from other communities. It's so important. although we still don't have the answers to solve these issues. And I think that that's also true. There's so many things in the world that we just don't know how to solve, right? But the idea is, are we trying? Are we taking a step to try to make a difference? And I hope that this conversation is a step. And I know it's a very little tiny step, but it's a step. And what I take the most with me is that we need to continue to have the conversation. So everybody here, you're extremely welcome to more, and especially Justin, Riza, Joomin, Monica, Raymond. Thank you for sharing your stories and sharing your truth. I do not want to cut it short. I really do not want to cut it short. But I also want to be respectful of everybody and your time and everybody at home that their minds might be brewing. So would it be okay to say that we'll do this again next month? Give me a thumbs up. Actually, I'm gonna screenshot that thumbs up. I'm in.
I'm in. I think it's a great idea. As artists, we learn. I want to just interject. We learn through repetition, right? So the more we repeat it, the more we do it, the more that message is going to come across. There's not the time to be silent.
Yes. So Francisca, would you host again?
Sure.
Justin, would you come again?
Absolutely.
Monica.
Yeah, I'm down.
Riza.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Joomin.
For sure.
Raymond.
Yes. Count me in.
Gabby, would you co-host with Francisca?
Absolutamente.
Hey, Gabby.
There we go. Everybody give a round of applause to our panelists, our wonderful friends, artists, humans. Please make a difference in the world. Today is a great day. It's only 12:18 here in New York, 9:18 in San Francisco Bay. There's a whole day ahead of us. What difference can you make for someone today? What can you contribute? How can we go beyond? And that being said, I'm gonna pass it over to my dear friend Matt Steffens, who has some video information for us.
Thanks, Luis. Don't forget to join us this Monday for our Instagram Live series with the Broadway Green Alliance, as well as our First Time Fridays with the Next Gen RL. Keep an eye out for the BWS Plus launch of our continuing education and you see the Dare to Go Beyond camp dates there. And our next Inspiration Sunday will be the 16th of May. And as always, don't forget to dare to go beyond. Atrévete a más. And from all of us here at Revolución Latina, we hope you have a great week.